seconds.
Am I out of the way right now? Everybody's quiet.
You're on my shot. That'll be a nice cross-coverage shot for you.
Welcome to a special edition of Veterans Talk, The Forgotten Promise. I'm R.J. Doe, and along with Michael Presley,
Hey, how
Elvis
you
Presley's
doing?
son. How about that? You
Glad
bet
to
you
be
didn't
here.
know that, did you?
Did I know that?
Well, you knew it, but I don't think everybody else did.
No, everybody else doesn't know.
So
it.
tell us a little bit about you and your dad and why you were so far kept from the public eye.
Well, my mom was an entertainer back in the day, and she worked with Les Brown as orchestra renowned, Guy Lombardo, Scat Man, Xavier Cougar, Prada, and so she was in the industry. And she met my father at the amusement park there in Memphis, Tennessee, back in 1955.
Oh, we're the same age.
And we're 67 strong, baby. So they met, and my mother was not taken by him. She was an entertainer. She had her own shtick, and when she saw him, of course, he tried to come on to her and everything like that. And she kind of put her arm up to him and said, "Listen, Tiger," she says, "we come from the same side of the stage."
Okay.
So as the time went on, he followed her and kept asking for a date. And she told him, she says, "You got to clean up, you got to push your hair out of your eyes, you got to put on a tie, you got to put on a jacket, button up your shirt, that kind of thing." Well, then she went back to Detroit, Michigan. She was playing a big band club up there in Detroit, Michigan. And Jerry's Club, if I think it's right. It's not there anymore, but it was a big club back then. And so she went back up there, and she was one night performing up there with the big band, and one of the waitresses was standing out front having a cigarette break talking to some of the patrons. And my father drove up in the pink Cadillac. And she come running in, and she ran up to the stage, and my mother was just coming off stage at that point from her set, music-wise. And when she got done, she ran up to him. She says, "You won't believe who just drove up." And she says, "Who?" "Only the most gorgeous man that the world has ever set eyes on." And she looked at her like, "Who's that?" And she goes, "Elvis Presley." I said, "Mom, what did you do?" She says, "My eyes rolled back into my head, and the words that came out of my mouth was, 'Oh, no, not him.'" And he come walking in, introduced himself to the club owners, stood there talking. They shook hands and did all that kind of thing. And then he went and got a table stage side and asked her to come down and sit with him for a few minutes and talk. And he explained to her, he says, "How do I look?" She says, "Well, you do look better." And then he says, "Well, I'd like to take you out." And she says, "I can't. My parents and I are going to Florida next week." And he goes, "Great. I'm going to Florida, too. I'm going to be appearing in Orlando and Ocala and different places like that." And she's just thinking to herself, "I can't get rid of this guy." And he says, "I really, really, really would like to take you out. Won't you just go out with me? That's all it is, honey." And she looked at him. She says, "Don't call me honey. I'm not your honey." And so, yeah, exactly. So in the book, I tell this whole story in great detail. And he wore on her is really what happened. And I asked my mom, and I said, "Why did you give in?" And she said, "Your father has a way of getting under women's skin." And she says, "And even with the biggest defenses in the world, they'll never win. It's the battle they're going to lose."
Okay.
And so she ended up then getting with my father, and they spent quite a few months off and on again. He would go down there and see her quite frequently while they were doing these tours. And of course, Splendor in the Grass happened in 1955, and I popped out in 1956.
There you go. And we got kind of a unique setup today. We're kind of dual cameras here, so we got one in front of me and one in front of you. So we kind of have to check out both occasionally here.
Oh, I see him there.
And you mentioned something that I know you want to talk about. You're dying to talk about. You're going to go into more detail in the book. So you have a book coming out.
Yes, I do. It's a book. It's called In My Father's Footsteps. It's written by me. It was not written by a ghostwriter or anything like that. It's all my words in the book. And we're really having a hard time trying to cut it down. When I first started, I didn't realize how much I really had to say. And I started out to writing the book thinking I didn't have anything I could tell anybody. And then when I started that people would want to read, And then I started writing the book, and we ended up, now we're over 5,000 pages long.
Wow.
And pictures and documentation and proof and everything that you could ever want inside the book, because the fans really need to know all the truth. And that's what we're bringing to them.
Okay, so it's going to be like War and Peace, about that thick?
No, it's more like that, and that's the unabridged version.
Okay.
Now, they are going to offer an unabridged version, as I understand it. It's going to be gold-edged pages. It'll be nice linen pages, and it's going to be in a leather-bound book with nice etching, and they're going to design some kind of cover for it. And that will be the unabridged version. Now, it's very expensive, okay? But the book that we're going to be offering to the general public will be something that's going to be a lot, better in price-wise.
Okay.
Priced a little more economically, $39, $49. So.
Well, if you would donate one of those $39, $49 books to us with a signature, we will have somebody call in and we'll give it to them on the air.
What we may do is one better. There's something, and I got to work this out with management, but we might do that. But we might also do it with a package, because we're doing a Willy Wonka thing, and everybody probably doesn't know about it yet. But
they will today.
They will
we
know
post
today.
This.
And if I'm overstepping management, I'm sorry, guys. If you let me, I will give away the farm. But we've got a ticket that I want to put in these CDs.
The golden ticket. I saw it inside there.
Did you see one in there?
Open that up. There's a golden ticket in there, I believe. If that's the same CD they gave me to copy. Nope, that's not the one. The one is sitting on my desk in there.
Okay. Well, there'll be a golden ticket in there. Nice foil golden ticket.
Joanna, if you can go and pick up on my desk, there's a CD on there.
And that golden ticket will entitle the bearer and one guest to fly anywhere in the world that we will be, and they will get backstage passes, they'll get meet and greet passes, they'll be able to goof around and have fun, and full reign. They'll get up front center seats, and they'll get nice gift packages and all that kind of good stuff with that golden ticket, plus their room, board, and transportation. So I'm giving them a weekend away. So if there's some men out there, start looking for the one with the golden ticket in it. And I don't know, golden tickets.
I think we have a golden ticket here. You can show
Willy
it.
Wonka gave more golden tickets away than just one. So I think we're going to do the same thing. They'll probably be located in the books that we sell. They'll be located in the albums. You might even get a designation on a ticket that you buy at a concert. This is that you've got to report back to the box office, and you'll be handheld. Or hand-delivered a golden ticket. Let's see what you got in. Oh, no, this is one of the limited edition versions.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Now,
it's going to be similar, though. Golden ticket will be similar, though.
Yes. Oh, you got number 24. There was 1,000 of the promotional CDs done. And out of the first 100 that were pressed, this is number 24. And, of course, this is a limited edition certificate of authenticity.
Okay, and get both cameras on that, because we got two, so. Great. So if that comes and you get one of those, it's kind of like something really good.
Yes, it will be really something good.
One of the things that interests me that I want to get deeper into is that nobody understands that you were a veteran. And I'm just wondering, when you joined the service, and you told me the story before we came on the air, but you went in with the name Michael Presley, and you said, well, this is my dad, and everybody goes, oh, you're full of BS. So, what was it like, your time in service, and do you have any favorite memories you want to share?
Listen, it was probably one of the most momentous times that I think I've ever lived. I volunteered. I was not drafted. I went in. I had a desire to serve my country and to serve the people of this country, and I went in. And that's usually what happens with most veterans. They don't go in with the idea that it's an obligation. They go in with the idea that this is a pleasure, this is a service. I went in there knowing that we have to do something. And I realized that in this country relies upon a chosen few to do the job that no one else wants to know about, hear about, or see. And we have to go do that job, and we've got to do it proud, and we've got to do it right, and it's got to be right the first time. And this country has been known for that. Okay, its military is by far the greatest military the world knows. Other countries think that their military is great, but who do they come to for all of their equipment and training and everything else? They come to the United States. So it's important to realize just exactly how important this country, how important the military is to this country's survival and to this country's development. I mean, it's incredible. The founding fathers, of course, made it possible for us to have this military. And they thought right. I mean, back then they were only dealing with England, but they thought right that this country would need this kind of people. And so therefore, if you're a veteran out there, I want to thank you for your service, and I want to tell you that you are greatly appreciated.
And we need to thank you for yours, too. I mean, not a lot of people like that. I think we have some things in common there. You came in 1972, 73. I came in a month after my 17th birthday, so I came in 72. And I served and fully expected, and you probably did too. You probably expected, I'm going to Vietnam, because at that time that was still hot and heavy.
It was very hot and heavy, and a lot of people don't realize that, everybody thinks that Vietnam ended in the 1960s. It did not. Then they talk about it and they say, oh no, it ended in the middle 1970s. No, it did not. And in my book, I talk to the people about it. When they read the book, they'll see. But in the book, I explained to them, we were still taking men out of Vietnam, out of Laos, and out of Cambodia in the 1980s. And a lot of people don't realize it. And to this day, there are men over there right now that are labeled as missing in action. I can tell you that a lot of those men weren't missing in action. They chose, after the pullout, to continue to serve this country and its intelligence with their knowledge and their passing off of information to our government and to the Pentagon, and remain. They were embedded. They had women, they had children, they had wives, they had, families. They were developed communities, and they never came back to the United States. They were not missing in action. They were doing the job and continued to do the job even after this country decided it was over.
Even today, I think that's probably still going on.
Still going on, absolutely. And hopefully their children are continuing to do that, because we do have an awful lot of peace over there right now, and I would like to think that maybe some of that peace is being created and developed and spawned from the military and people that are left over there.
Okay, now you did how many years? 4 years of service and then got out, or?
We were in for 6 years.
Okay.
Part of that time was reserve. And of course, I was nuclear power Navy. I got a nuclear engineering degree while I was in. And sub-designate, served aboard carrier groups and served aboard oilers and service groups, and also served aboard the subtenders. And we did a lot. And a lot of people would say, well, you weren't on the ground in action. No, the Navy doesn't usually go on the ground in action. They'll send the Marine Corps in, okay? Because those guys like to do a lot of footwork. We like a few steps, and then we get to our destination on board ship. But for all of you out there in the Marines, I want you to know I love you, but just remember, you can't get where you got to go unless you have the Navy, and you eat well you're on your way.
Well, it's interesting. I have a retired Marine colonel that lives down the street from me. He says, "Oh, you were in the Air Force?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "We used to go with you guys just when we needed a ride."
Oh boy.
And then it's interesting how the Marines and the Navy and Air Force and Army we're all kind of inter-service. We're all the same military service, but we all got our unique little things that set us apart from each other.
I want to also get across to all the people out there. Our veterans in the hospitals really need help. You just have no idea. The veterans on the streets need help. We have got such a large population of veterans that you would never even know were veterans, because if you were in the Vietnam veteran, you were spit on. I got spit on. I came back, I took my uniform off. I'm going to start crying now. I took my uniform off at the airport, put it in my bag, and never put it on again, because we were hated back then. You know that.
I know that well.
And we were not baby killers. There are people out there who attach things to children and to women and to people, and they're using them as human bombs. And when this happens, you know, it's take out one or take out 150, you see, of our guys. So sometimes there are going to be casualties, and we as Americans have to understand that we didn't put those bombs on those people, but they're there, and so we have to take care of that. But I had a friend, and he was on his last tour to Vietnam, pulling guys out, and he looked at me before he left and shipped out. And I looked at him, and he said, you think I can go home after this? And I looked at him, I said, isn't this the last one? He says, I think so. Well, he came back, but he didn't come back altogether. And I don't know what happened to him at Bethesda Naval Hospital, but they brought both parts back, but he was in 2 segments as opposed to being a whole individual. And I remember seeing him at the Bethesda Naval Hospital, and he looked at me and he said, can I go home? Can I go home now? And that, I never forgot that, because here I was still standing. You know, we all carry our own injuries, and there are a lot of injuries that don't even show. But I never forgot the fact that all they wanted to do was go home.
And it's sad because we didn't know enough then about what post-trauma stress disorder is as we do now. And it's sad to see it happen. There's still veterans suffering out there. I think one of the largest problems with the homeless veteran population is probably they're suffering from some sort of service-connected mental health disorder, whether it be PTSD, traumatic brain injury, even what they call it, sexual harassment, and it's sad that we've come to that, but you know, there is hope out for you. I mean, we'll take you, and I know you go around and visit the hospitals and that I'm sure that's well appreciated, and hopefully that'll encourage more people, especially if there's any other entertainers watching, to go out and do some of the same things. I mean, we've seen some that have gone out and done it. Lieutenant Dan, obviously, is one of them, but we do have a lot of entertainers going on. Even Denzel Washington is, from what I've heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I had heard that he had gone to Bethesda and saw the conditions of how bad part of the hospital was, the older part, and he sat down and he wrote him a check for $3 million, just like that, right off the bat.
See, and that's the kind of things we need, but those are isolated situations. We need us as a country to move on behalf of the veterans. We really do. We need to be there for them. Veterans were there for all of you, and we need to be there for now veterans. And there are a lot of them out there that need help. You were telling me today somebody gave you 1,000 socks.
Right.
Okay, that's the kind of thing that we're actually needing. Okay, because some of those veterans are homeless, not because they want to be homeless. They would love to have a home. But it's because they've lost everything in the service to their country. And nobody's helping them to get back some kind of assembly or resemblance of life.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we see that today. I just saw a post on Facebook this morning, and it said, homeless vets before illegals. And, I mean, I don't want to get into politics, but that is true.
It is what it is.
The veterans need to be taken care of much better than what the illegals are getting taken care of. Illegals are getting much more given to them than the veterans are. And these are the men and women that served our country to have the freedoms we have today. And the illegals, they just crossed the river. And they're getting everything, and I just don't think that's fair.
They're called to come back.
Yeah.
Military people have come back over and over and over again to do the job that they were asked to do, and so many of them accepted, the results of that job. And the people need to understand, though, they need to get to their Congress. They need to get to their legislative level, state level, county level, city level, and federal level. And you need to press upon them the importance of these people and to let them know that they need to be protected and they need to be helped. One of the things, I talked to a homeless veteran not too long ago, and I asked him, I said, why are you not going to the hospital and getting your veterans, care? I said, they've got Section 8 there, they've got different things, they've got programs, and they're not helping enough of the veterans that are out there. And he looked at me and he says, because nobody will listen. And I looked at him and I said, what do you mean? He says, do you realize the process? Now, I don't realize the process for getting a home. And I know I hear about homes being built, but they're one home at a time. And I understand, and don't get me wrong, these are great organizations that are building these homes. But when you build one home and you have 200,000 vets in an area, all homeless.
Yeah, it's not going to house 200,000 vets. Yeah,
exactly. You have to look at what's happening here. And he looked at me. He says, "They're not listening. They don't. I'm nobody. I'm the last 4 digits of my Social Security number because that's what they ask for.
Right. Your name and last 4.
Your name and last 4, and that's all. That's all they care about. And this guy looked at me and he says, and I'm too tired and too worn out to be able to do anything about it. Now, I got to tell you guys, I'm a bulldog. I will go after something, and when something gets underneath my skin, that's it. And I have had to deal with the VA down at the hospitals and different things, and you have to be that way. You have to be tenacious, and sometimes you have to get upset. But the thing is the results are they end up taking care of you.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't have that fortitude.
We've got a term for that, and we use it on the air often. It's Goya. And believe it or not, we had somebody running for an office here. Their last name was Goya. But we use that as an acronym for get off of your and do something about it.
Oh.
So you might you're going to use that in the show, I know.
Yes,
next time you go out and see that.
And I'm glad that you cut short of that last word because I never say swear words. So that's
Well, that's why we use and do something about it.
Well, I didn't mean to get off on a kind of a sad note, but I just, I want people to know about these things, and you'll be able to read it all in the book. It's all in the book.
Well, in addition to doing the book, let us know what you're doing here. I understand, and I'm not sure if it's releasable yet or not, but I think you're planning to do a show here in Vegas next year.
We've actually got a world tour we're working on. We want to put together a world tour. I want to bring the music of my father. One of the things that people have told me, the fans have told me over and over and over again, they said, it's funny. You can watch an Elvis movie and feel good at the end of the movie. It's the only kind of movie that you can... Now, yeah, they're going to be a little cheesy maybe for today's deal. But when you're all done, you don't feel raw, you don't feel angry, you don't feel anything. You feel pretty good. Okay? When you listen to an Elvis song, my father had messages in almost every song he did. And when you listen to those songs, it's a part of that song will touch you. When you hear songs like Bridge Over Troubled Water, and Lord You Gave Me a Mountain, and In the Ghetto, and If I Can Dream. These are great songs with so many great and personable messages. And then he gets right down to personal, right almost in everybody's life, with songs like Bitter They Are, the Harder They Fall, My Boy, which I think was kind of picked by him for me, Mary in the Morning, which was, I think picked for my mother. And when you hear those songs being played, you suddenly realize that this was a very feeling, caring individual that was putting out these songs.
Now, out of all of your father's songs, do you have a favorite?
No, I love them all.
Okay.
If my dad sings
That's a good answer.
If my dad sings it, it's got to be good.
Well, something that you've got coming up too, and I don't know if it's been done in this album or not, is that you sing and your father sings sort of jointly together, kind of like what Nat King Cole and Natalie Cole did.
Yes.
The same type of principle in that.
Yes.
And every time I went to see Natalie Cole, something came up, and she either called because she was sick or something, and then unfortunately she passed away before I got to see her show, but I heard that was a dynamite show. And I hope you're here for 30 more years.
Well, I would like to be. I've asked God for 60, and I'm
You
hoping
got that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm still walking and talking. But the album has actually got just that, me and my father together, and it's pretty incredible. A lot of people say, wow, you know, you match up so close together. We had actual people from the FBI listen to it that do tapes, and they go, we really don't know where the song ends, and he ends and you begin. We can hear the two voices in there, but it almost sounds like he's singing back up to himself.
Wow.
And I hope all of you enjoy that album. That's why we put it out there, Reflection album. It will be the only album that I probably will release that has my father and I on it.
Okay, so when do you expect Reflections to be released?
It's going to be released, available to the public, not as a promotional item, but available to the public. We're looking at next year.
Okay.
It's going to come out with the world tour. And we're, like I said, we're wanting to bring my father's music, and we're wanting to extend his career beyond 1977. Now, somebody asked me the other day, they said, well, are you going to be an ETA artist? No, I'm not an ETA artist. I'm Michael Presley, okay? I'm his son. And because I'm his son, yes, I do look like him. Yes, I have him in me. Yes, you know, his voice is my voice, and yes, we have that. But I want to take my father beyond that point. A lot of people don't realize that Dolly Parton had a song that my father was supposed to release, and then he passed away. And then Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville.
Okay.
Okay, that was actually written to be released by my father. And he couldn't do it, and Jimmy Buffett, of course, released it and became a huge hit for him. I mean, it was a good thing he did, because he made a lot of money off it.
Yeah, he did.
And so we're looking at taking him in the 1980s, 1990s, 2000. What would my father have done? How would he have looked? What would he have kept? What would he have gotten rid of? What kind of outfits would he have worn later on? How flamboyant would he have been? How about the music? What would he have covered? Because my father covered everybody in the 1970s. The Beatles, Mac Davis, Tom Jones. He covered the Bee Gees, and actually told me that he saw the writing of the wall for his next comeback with the Bee Gees release album. So my dad knew that this had to change, and there's a song actually on this album that was released in 1974 for my father called "Got a Feeling in My Body," and it is the most discotheque song you have ever heard my father do. It's the only one. But this tells me, with the show in August 19th, 1977, that my father was already looking and preparing to do another comeback. And a lot of people don't know my father did several comebacks. 1959 or so, he went into the service.
Right.
When he came back and appeared on the Frank Sinatra show, he was a different animal. The acne was gone. The baby fat was gone. His hair now was jet black. And when he walked out on stage, he was literally a walking Greek god. Then 1968 comes around, almost 10 years to when he went into the service. And what does he do? He does the 68 comeback special. Walks out on the stage in a leather outfit, sits down and sings these songs, and all the women swoon again. Then he went into his 1970s. So 78 was the scheduled comeback for my father, and he didn't make it. And I know that I had conversations with him that he was talking greatly about this. He had fired several people in preparation for the tour, and he was cleaning house and doing a whole lot of things, getting ready and making changes. And for those of you out there who think my father took drugs, he did not die of a drug overdose. Didn't happen. For those of you that think he died on the toilet with his pants around his ankles, that didn't happen either. And for those of you who think that he actually died August 16th, 1977, read the book.
Okay.
You'll find out that didn't happen either. Now, I know a lot of your people listening right now are probably saying, whoa, wait a minute, these are really bold statements. But I tell you this, you cannot bury somebody without what?
Well,
Death certificate.
Yeah, without a certificate.
And
I guess there's
autopsy reports.
Right.
Those weren't signed until October.
Okay.
77. So that and the witness testimony and everything else tells us, what does the government always say? More likely than not,
That is the
true.
favorite line to put in our claims for disability compensation.
It's the favorite line for the entire government. More likely than not. And so more likely than not, he was still alive in October.
Yeah. Okay. I want to thank you for taking your time out today, and we're going to post this up on our Facebook page, VTRC.US. I will burn a copy for you afterwards and send it to wherever it needs to be sent.
Great.
And once again, thank you. I do appreciate meeting you today.
Thank you.
And hearing
Thank
about your time in service
Thank you for your
in
service.
the Navy. And I'm just impressed that you were in the nuclear Navy. And I mean, that's usually, I know you have a voice and you sing and such, but usually the guys that were in the nuclear Navy, they go out and they get these fabulous jobs in nuclear energy someplace, and you didn't do that.
I did not do that. I did not go on to into the new. I had this thing about glowing in the middle of the night. Now, one of my ex-wives said, well, honey, it'd be a lot easier to find you that way. And I go, yeah, but I don't want all the other ramifications when I get old enough.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for having us here today.
Okay,
This
well,
has been fun. This has been real fun. And I want to say hi to all of you guys out there. And I want to make sure, too, that in addition to your radio show, we're going to put you also on our radio show, yes? BandstandRadio.com.
Okay.
Now, we've got a show on Wednesday night called The Michael Presley Show.
All right.
And I am actually broadcasting from places all over the world on that show. And we'll do a live segment, and then we play the music that I set up for it. But we now have 2,800,000 people around the world listening to that show. And I'm thinking that there may be a large percentage of those that happen to be veterans. So what we'll do is we're going to include you on our show.
Okay, well, let me throw that website out there again. BandstandRadio.com this Wednesday night.
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday night they're on, and go ahead and tune in. And if you didn't get us on Facebook, you'll get us on that show.
And we're going to broadcast and promote your radio station
Well, that
on
works for us.
Bandstand Radio. And I also want to tell everybody, too, that there's another way. You can get in touch with us and listen to Bandstand Radio and listen through the Veterans Program here, because we'll send you all some press releases and some stuff that when things begin to happen. Because we're filming this week here in Vegas, and we've got meetings and different things. But one of the things, too, that we want to do is just to go, to co-promote and do that kind of thing so that everybody partakes of everything. There's plenty of tables, there's plenty of plates at the table. You know what I'm saying?
The other second question I had for you, the book. When's the book coming out?
The book should be out this coming year, and it's getting a publishing date this month. I'm told that there's going to be a completion date. It's going off to the publishers, and so we should have a publishing date. We'll let you know when that happens. And there's another website that you can go to called Shadow Mountain Productions with an S, LLC.com. Now, I urge everybody in your listening population to do that. Go on there. You'll go to the little 3 bars on the left-hand side, click on it, brings down a drop-down page, and you go to Contact Us. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to get on there. Put your contact information. They don't sell your contact information. I made sure of that, so you have my assurance of that. But what will happen is, down in the segment that says Comments, I want you to type in there, I heard about Michael Presley. And and he told me on the radio that I am to ask you to put me and my family and friends on the VIP list. Now, what will happen is that person who sent that contact information will suddenly become a voice for everybody that's in his group, whether it be a friend or a family member or neighbor or whoever. He'll be able to tell them and keep them abreast of what's happening in the career and in the book and everything else. So you'll have 3 different sources of being able to get that information. And again, that's Shadow Mountain Productions, LLC.com.
Okay, it's wonderful. And once again, I can't thank you enough for stopping on today and stopping in to see us.
It's been a blast. This is great.
This is great for us, and it's great for all the veterans, especially because you are a veteran, and people don't see veterans giving back, and this is truly a case of veterans giving back. Thank you. We will see you on our weekend show on Saturday. And before, since it's in December, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever we're going to call it.
Always
and
Merry
we're
Christmas.
looking forward to next year and notification on Reflections and the name of the book again, In My Father's Footsteps.
In My Father's Footsteps.
So those 2 things are coming up this year. Look for that golden ticket and you'll be treated like a VIP. What can I say?
And I'll see you at the concert, and we're not going to have those concert barricades 6 feet away from the stage. We'll have them right up against the stage. So you guys come and meet me. I want to meet everybody. I don't
Okay.
care if it's millions of people or not. I'll stand there and sign autographs and shake hands and listen to people's lives and stories all night long.
Okay, we put the veterans all up in front, right?
all up in front. Then
Okay.
that way I can say, where are my veteran brothers? And they can go, woo!
You do a wave right in front of the stage.
That's it.
Okay, thank you once again. We'll see you Saturday. Veterans Talk, The Forgotten Promise.